to Social
Such a
Security
nasty woman.
trust.
Nasty women are tough. Nasty women are smart. And nasty women vote.
America is still a great country, and it is still worth fighting for.
I'm not giving up, and neither should you.
Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome to Nasty Women Nation podcast. I am Ray. I'm here with Wendy. We're joining you from Houston. We have Aaron hitting us up from Austin and Katie from Colorado Springs. Thank you, ladies, for being here tonight.
Good evening.
Hi.
We have got a lot of stuff to talk about today. But before we get into the really heavy stuff, I want to take a moment to talk about the media and basically how the past, week or two, Trump has been slowly alienating a good chunk of the media. Of course, for those of you out there still playing along at home, Sean Spicer, good old Sean, he decided to keep a good chunk of the media out of one of the press briefings the other day, and basically only let in a small handful of media outlets, including NBC, ABC, CBS, and Fox News. Or as everybody like CNN, New York Times, Politico, BuzzFeed, and the majority of the foreign press were kept outside in the cold. Of course, Trump's, complete, disdain for the media is carrying on, as he is also not planning on attending the White House correspondent dinner, and he's like the first president in something like 36 years to not go. And, he's basically just, only saving room at his table for, like, Brett Bart and Fox News and all that kind of stuff. So I wanted to get y'all's take on Trump and the media and see what your all's opinions are. So, you know what? Aaron, let me throw it over to you first.
Well, is anyone really surprised that he's, completely unopen to anybody that doesn't fawn over him? No. Why this, I don't know why I even wonder why people don't think this is outrageous and crazy. People who are conservative. But yeah, holy shit, which is what I say to pretty much everything that happens. You know what? Honestly, I think the correspondence dinner is probably going to be pretty interesting without him there. So, yeah, right? It'll be a lot better.
I don't know what to do about that. Like, that just, it cracks me up. The White House Deputy Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders told ABC this week this wasn't a president that was elected to spend his time with reporters and celebrities. But apparently he was also a president that was intended to spend every weekend golfing, so that's cool. After criticizing the hell out of Obama and whatnot. Katie, what are your thoughts?
He's a schmuck. Have I said that already today?
Not enough.
No, we just started. This constant back and forth about the press and how mean they are to him, and it's in some ways you'd like to think it's a distraction, but I almost said in all fairness, I'm not even sure where I was going with that. The truth is, this is Trump. This is the Tangerine's, essence. He wants to be accepted. He wants people to like him. He thinks he does a good job because he spent his entire 70-something years being told that he does a good job by people who fawn over him and who want favors from him. And so now he's in this, weird state where he is totally convinced that everybody's out to get him, which, I don't know, you're not entirely wrong on that front because you're an idiot and we all hate you. But he thinks that there's no justification for it. He thinks that he's doing a good job. He thinks he doesn't understand. He was on CNN. Well, there was a news clip on CNN. Obviously, he wasn't on CNN. But where he was whining about why people think that he's not working hard and, all this stuff. And I was in the gym, so it took a lot of self-control not to shout at the TV. It's because you've taken 3 fucking vacations in the last month, you asshole. Obviously you're not working. I haven't been on a vacation in like 8 years. Like,
well, okay. I don't even know where I was headed there. No, I'm back. It's fine. One of the other quotes from Sarah Huckabee Sanders that I was reading that it really just made my eye twitch was she was quoted saying, "I think it's kind of naive for us to think that we can all walk into a room for a couple hours and pretend that some of the tension isn't there. You know, one of the things we say in the South, if a Girl Scout egged your house, would you buy cookies from her? I think that's a pretty similar scenario." So, let me get this straight.
Who doesn't buy Girl Scout cookies?
I mean, yeah, seriously.
what says that? Is that actually a saying in the South?
No, it's not a saying.
That's right. Never once have I heard that.
South a year and a half. I've never heard that saying.
This ancient saying I made up just now.
That's right. I think that makes my point pretty clear. Girl Scout cookies and eggs. That totally. Yeah, I mean, so you've got a president who is legitimately like terrified of the media, or just of anybody saying anything bad to him and his delicate ego. And these are the people that we have speaking on his behalf. And I don't know if they just had Sarah step up there because they were terrified of what Sean was going to say.
Maybe they just play like names out of a hat, or it's like roulette that day. They drew straws and they're like, shit, I got to stick up for Trump today.
That's probably it. They're doing shots in the back room praying it's not them. Wendy, what are your thoughts on this?
That helps me sleep at night, by the way.
That's good.
Yeah, I think that keeping him away from the real media, having him have this very carefully selected exposure to his favorite fawning audience, I think that that's a clever plan by his people to keep him from either being asked a hard question or being asked a question and completely going off and losing it on camera, because that's what we need. Right now, they've still got a very thin veneer on this to where, he can spin it the way he wants to, but if we could get him on camera actually being batshit crazy, maybe that would make a better case for us. And, not showing up at the correspondence dinner. He's the first president since Reagan, and the only reason Reagan wasn't there was because he was recovering from having been shot. So I think he had an excuse.
That's the only pass you get.
It's a justifiable excuse, I suppose.
If you have had a bullet in you.
Yes, so I hope that basically everybody who does Trump impressions is going to take turns going up there in front of the correspondence dinner and doing impressions of him, answering the questions as if he were actually there, so it'll be just as entertaining.
Do you think that is it too late to get Alec Baldwin in to sub in for Trump?
Oh, they've been talking about that for the last few days.
Can we do that?
So, I don't know. I hope, I'm sure he probably doesn't have much else going on. He's just sitting around practicing for SNL, but yeah. He should already be in character. He probably wears that around all day, every day now.
Well, I remember reading an article earlier this week talking about how Trump basically, in order to keep him from losing his mind constantly, he is having basically to surround himself with nothing but yes men. They keep telling him that everything he's doing is great, it's wonderful, it's beautiful, and that is what's keeping him from going off on another crazy tirade on the internet, which I would still, I'm sure there's been plenty of crazy happening on the internet. Let me throw it on over to Katie. Keep us up on what's been happening in all the social media what the fuckery this week.
Well, it has been a little quiet. I agree with you. I think that the Tangerines folks are trying to mitigate this, but he does occasionally get a hold of that unsecured Android phone and go pretty crazy. One of the big stories on Twitter this week, which got passed around quite a bit, was he was tweeting about how awful the crowds were and how he had so many crowds and there was huge and bigly and whatnot, and then completely got burned by Bernie Sanders, who tweeted back at him with pictures of the inauguration crowd and then of course the Women's March and was like, yeah, you tried that, it didn't work so well. So that was a nice of course there's never any real response to that, and his usual sycophants will continue to insist that those aren't real or that something has gone sideways. And of course, Trump's crowds were huge, but that's totally not the case. So, some of the other big stuff that he had going on this week was he tweeted a couple of times about how the stories about Russia were fake news and so not true, but that the leaks were illegal. And people on Twitter wanted to know that, if the leaks aren't real, then they're technically not illegal. So which is it? Is it real that Russia has been involved in this and is doing this and somebody illegally leaked this information to the press? Or is it fake news and it's not illegal? And nobody seems to have an answer, at least from the White House. Nobody has an answer. The rest of us have a pretty clear answer. So, I saw, what else did we see? There were some fantastic videos floating around of Republicans getting shouted at by their constituents. If you have not seen those, I highly recommend checking that out. There's a couple of places that have consolidated those into one post or a couple of posts, and it is a great delight to see Mitch No Chin McConnell getting shouted at by a lady about losing her health care. He, of course, is just smiling, but, I'm kind of surprised nobody kicked him or started throwing things. So, and really just, there's a lot of angry people out there, and despite what people like to claim, George is not paying any of us to do this stuff. But on a slightly more serious note, there have been a lot of buzzings about how the story about paid protesters is a pretty terrifying setup for the idea of making dissent illegal. And we're already starting to see some of that with the laws that are being passed about, now I forgot where it was, about, it was Arizona, of course. Thanks, Arizona. If you are in a protest and it turns violent, whether or not you are actually involved in the violence, you can be arrested and your property can be confiscated, which, that's a pretty clear violation of the Constitution. But at this point, I think our entire government is in violation of the Constitution. So what's, one more thing?
That's just terrifying, though. I mean, seriously, you're going to take away people's right to protest, and then you're going to try to tell me that we're not slowly edging our way back to, the Hitler regime from Germany. Give me a break. Again, who is still following this man? And he's like, I'm right there with you, Mr. T. Let's do this.
Right?
I really want to know that. I want to know that.
It is anytime you... Yeah, and it is amazing the number of people, if you get in an argument or a discussion with people about anything, they like to try and claim, it's so-and-so did this and so-and-so did that, which somehow makes it okay. Or they will just start shouting about fake news. And
oh my God.
Oddly, yeah. Wendy knows what I'm talking about.
Yes, that just amazes me how often I have seen people comment on posts or articles or whatever, and all they say is fake news in all caps. There's no argument for what they believe is fake or their logic behind it or any kind of rational thought. It's just like fake news is the anti-boogeyman spray, and they're just going to throw it out there and poof, fake news is going to go away. And it's so irrational, and it's so frustrating because you can tell that they have no rational thought about this. It's just, okay, well, we're going to throw that out there from now on every time anybody says anything we don't like.
It's just absurd. I mean, seriously, how is it that, literally a matter of months ago, you guys were totally on board with the real, legit news? Like, come on. The Associated Press, Reuters, those are legit news sources. They are not left slanting. They are trying their best to tell it like it is. This is the facts, whether you like them or not. Just because you say a word, this isn't like abracadabra, it goes away.
It's like being in third grade and you've got the I'm rubber, you're glue argument. Nope, it's not real.
Well, at least they understand that argument. I don't think they understand most